Some people were unhappy when they announced they're bringing the German on board. Then the World Cup started. Everyone got behind that German on board. Well, now they've just gone out to Argentina. Everyone knows Tuchel is a bloody fraud, mate. What was that? This bloke was supposed to come in, absolutely change everything that failed under Southgate. Southgate took them to a point where they could do something. Then when it was time to do something, he couldn't. People wanted him out. He left, lost 2 finals. Then you bring in Thomas Tuchel, this tournament manager, this absolute tactician, won the Champions League with a bloody bad Chelsea team. He comes in with one objective: win the World Cup for England. What was he brought in for? To beat these big teams. And yet what we've just saw there, honestly, put Southgate in the dugout. Southgate never resigned or got sacked or whatever happened there, and he was in the dugout tonight, you'd be sitting there going, same old with Southgate. Well, Tuchel's just done the exact same thing. I really don't understand the thinking from him. The one man you needed to stop, and I think up until the goal, you've seen why he was the one you need to stop, is obviously the greatest footballer to ever grace the game, Lionel Messi. Now, he might be 39 years old. He's never really been a presser, so you have always kind of been able to outrun him, which in the first half England were doing. And yes, there was a couple of times where Messi, I remember one point where he was dribbling past a couple of players, but even then he still got, I know it was from a foul, but he didn't get the chance to get into a position when he was doing something because he was either getting tackled or brought down. And when he weren't doing much, Argentina looked like they were devoid of any idea on how to create an opportunity. Then Anthony Gordon puts England ahead, and what do? Messi likes to roam. He often picks up spaces in essential sort of areas. You get the team to sit in the box and you just let Messi go wherever he wants. Drop a little deeper if you want, mate. Go on the wing if you want, mate. Just do what you want, because you can't be that good, can you? Do you know what I mean? You can't be that good, can he? But it's Lionel Messi. He created. I think one change, we're going to talk about changes from the England side of things in a minute, but one Argentina change that really, I think, changed the way the game was spinning in terms of actual chances for Argentina was that Nico Gonzalez, not the one that plays for us, the great one, the number one Nico Gonzalez, but the fraudulent one that plays at left wing for Argentina. He was making good runs. I think he's more of an out-and-out winger, which is where they were struggling in the first half, because it was only really Alvarez, who is a number 9, drifting out there. So, yeah, weren't really creating much, whereas Gonzalez was making those runs. When you let Messi pick up spaces on the edge of the box, you've seen what he did even a couple of times before the goals. Playing balls over the top, played across into the box, which McAllister said the post probably should have scored. Genuinely, when they started dropping back, letting Messi create, Argentina probably should have been actually ahead earlier on. And if they put some of those chances away, which they easily could have, we're not talking about a 2-1 game, we're talking about a 3-1, 4-1 game. Now, when you bring Dan Burn on against Mexico, when you're down to 10 men, you're in the Azteca, you're just trying to hold on to a lead, it's not that bad, because all you got to do is stop crosses coming into the box. But please tell me how Dan Burn is stopping Messi. Do you know what I mean? Not only can the fella create stuff, but he can also shoot. Dan Burn is put on for headers. And I know Argentina scored from a header, don't get me wrong, but realistically, Martinez didn't come on so late. If you actually look at their team, they didn't have a lot of tall players. And even when they were pushing England before they scored, a lot of their chances came from a ball over the top from a run in behind, as opposed to a run into the box to some tall player. Like, at times the players weren't even going into the box, they were just sitting on the edge looking for a bit of a space to take a shot or something, which we see with Fernandez scoring that absolute beauty. He had about 2 or 3 chances before that as well. And I think anyone who actually watched the game, you just knew, especially after the changes were made and he's bringing defenders on for attackers, if Argentina score, they're definitely, whether it be in extra time or in normal time, which obviously they did score the winner in, they're going to get that, they're going to get another goal. Do you know what I mean? That, like, England have to stop them at all cost, otherwise they are cooked. And like I said, before the England goal, which obviously came, I think it was like 60 minutes in the second half, wasn't really anything happening. There wasn't really a team that, even though there wasn't a lot of chances, that you thought, okay, these are really pressing. I don't necessarily mind that from an England point of view, because, you can be kind of cautious. It's a semi-final. The nerves are, they're tingling inside. You don't know what to do. So I don't mind that, because at the end of the day, it's not like Argentina were like bossing them at that point and creating loads of chances, and it was just a matter of time that they weren't going to score. They weren't really doing anything, so at least you were doing that side of things. 1-1, Argentina are really pressing now. You've sat back to try and keep them out, just keep the 1-0, whatever. But there you go, 1-1, then you're going, okay, now let's go back for it again. What does he do? Waits till they score the second goal. Then in 9 minutes of added time, in the 6th minute of it, then he decides he's going to take off 2 defenders and bring on 2 attackers. Even Messi himself in his prime would struggle. Well, maybe not, but even he would kind of find it hard. Even for Messi, you'd still go, my word, he's been on for 2 minutes right at the end of the game, and he still saved it to do stuff in that amount of time. I think I talked about Southgate before. In terms of a more comparison to Southgate, I think Southgate got a lot of shit for the substitutions he was making. It was either a very defensive substitution like the ones Tuchel made in this game, or it was just a very kind of samey, in terms of it was just bringing a winger on, taking a winger off, as opposed to a midfielder for a striker or a defender for, an attacker or whatnot. Tuchel's just done the same thing. Now, obviously, we don't know if Tuchel's going to do any more. Probably shouldn't, because this is what he brought him for, to win these type of games, and he's failed. So he probably will go, especially with the backlash that he's going to get from the English fans. But obviously, Southgate had a lot more tournaments to get a basis off, and I might bring them into this comparison as well. But I am just going to use them both based off their first tournaments. Now, yes, England were at 2 very different points when both came in. For Southgate, England were absolutely shocking. There was no hope there whatsoever. Got beat by Iceland in the Euros, the most previous tournament before he came in. Before that, the most previous World Cup, got grouped. It was shocking. No one had any hope for England going into any tournaments. He brought that belief back. Got to a semi-final. Yes, there was lots of talks about didn't really play anyone decent. Then as soon as they came up against someone decent, they lost, and he got a lot of stick for that as well. But he had a much worse team than Tuchel. He had the likes of Danny Rose, Eric Dyer, and fucking Jesse Lingard. Like, seriously. Jesse Lingard, I don't even know where that bloke's playing right now. I don't even know if he is still playing. Like, he's fell off a cliff, and yet Southgate managed to get England to a semi-final with that bloke in the team. Now, I can't remember if that was the specific tournament or if it was a different one, but I remember seeing an England video on their channel where they're in this sort of pool. They got the unicorns out, they got the beach balls out. All their togetherness. That's what England needed. That's what Southgate was brought in to do. He succeeded at that. And yeah, Tuchel is supposed to be this master tactician. He knows ball. He's going to beat all these big teams. He's going to do all this. He's going to do all that. Like, he's so much better than Southgate. And yeah, in his first World Cup, again, with a better team, he's got to the exact same point as someone who was getting the morale up. Oh, Jesse, mate, you're doing well. You're doing well, Jesse. And I know people argue, well, the game against Mexico was a big feat for Tuchel, but realistically, yes, I understand, given the circumstances, obviously, why that Mexico was such a huge result. Maybe Southgate wouldn't be able to cope with that. But in terms of the actual team he's coming up against, any circumstance whatsoever, the team that he's coming up against, it's the same sort of thing. Comes up against a team that's on par, probably better, because they won the most recent World Cup. Well, might win this one as well. But he lost. He lost, just like Southgate couldn't do it against the big teams. Southgate also used to get a lot of stick for the fact that There was games like I think it was Slovenia, whatever game it was, in the last Euros, his last major tournament, Southgate, where Bellingham scores like an overhead kick in the last couple of minutes. Bellingham saving him, like players are stepping up at moments to save him. Well, yes, I understand it's tournament football. Yes, you need that at times, but even though you would probably look at it differently if England was still in the tournament and went on to win, whenever the final is. I think it's on Saturday or Sunday. Tuchel, now that we look at it, has been saved quite a few times by individual brilliance. Seeing it in the Congo game, Kane scores 2 goals. Let's be honest, that's got nothing to do with Tuchel. That's just Kane stepping up. The game against Norway, Bellingham steps up. I know he stepped up in Mexico. You could argue in the Mexico game, especially after the red card, that was a bit of a Tuchel masterclass with the players he brought on and whatnot. But even the Norway game was very, very sluggish. I didn't think there was much in that at all. Potentially lucky, really, that Norway didn't really step up in that game, but eventually they kept playing poorly and poorly and poorly and poorly, and it's caught up with them. We've said this many a time in previous tournaments with Southgate. Playing poorly against teams that you should be realistically battering. Playing Argentina, the likes of Messi in their team, you're going to get caught out unless you've got some sort of idea, and I just think England were horrendously poor today.